Hey everybody, this is Nori from Smart Service, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new features coming out in version 102. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. So, one of the biggest features coming out in version 102 is going to be the new text messaging add-on for Smart Service. When you contact us, we'll need to know a local phone number for your area, because we're going to actually purchase a phone number from your area. That way when you guys send out text messages from the application, your customers get a message that's local to them. But let's go ahead and take a look at how that's going to work for us. So once you've given us a call to activate the text messaging add-on for Smart Service, you'll get a brand new option up here under your Today from Me at the top left-hand corner that says My Text Messages. So once you click on the window, you'll be able to purchase your first set of messages. To do that, up here at the top left under the word text messaging, you're going to click Purchase Messages. At this point, you'll be brought to a purchasing portal where you can purchase your first series. We have a couple different options available here. The messages cost around a penny per message to send. So go ahead and select which package you'd like to sign up for, and then how you'd like to purchase the messages. Once you've entered all of your information in the boxes, including your company name, your first and last name, and the email address, go ahead and click Process Payment. And after you've clicked Process Payment, within an hour, you'll see your new funds for text messaging added to the text message window. Your funds are displayed up here in the remaining amount directly under the words text messaging. Another thing to keep in mind when observing your funds, the messages do have a character limit. Messages with a large character count, special characters, or emojis might count as more than one message and cost more than 1 penny to send or receive. For more information on this character limit, check out the link in the description of this video. Alright folks, so the first thing that we need to do is get our template set up for the text messaging feature. Once you've updated to version 102, you're going to go ahead and enter your settings section over here on the left hand side. Now, not everybody has access to the settings. That's something to keep in mind. You might need to contact your system administrator to get access to this feature. But we'll go ahead and click on settings here. And once you have the texting feature enabled here, you'll go into Setup Smart Service Add-ons. And right beside our email add-on, you can take a look at the new text messaging section. Within this section here, you can set up a couple different things. The first thing we're going to focus on today is going to be setting up the text message job reminders. This feature, very similar to the email job reminders, will let you choose a job type and then build a template message that you'd like your customers to receive. Later on, we'll go ahead and decide when the customer gets this message. That could be the day before, that could be the week before, that could be directly before the service. But let's go ahead and build our templates and see what we got. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pick out one of my job types. After I've chosen a job type, I'll head over to the Edit tool. And here we will create the body of the message. Now, when I'm writing these, a helpful trick is to come in here and right-click in the field. And that's going to give you a couple options to pre-populate this message with. Much like a Microsoft Word mail merge or the email feature in here, it's going to allow you guys to personalize this message on a per customer basis. So I'll choose first name. I want to address this person by name. And then we'll give them some information about what their service is going to be. Alright folks, so now we've got our template built. Once again, we would continue this process for any job types that you'd like to send out these automated messages for. So you'd likely create a few others, one for each job type that you have. Another great option that we're going to see show up later on is these message shortcuts. So these are going to be used as kind of quick responses when customers, say something or the conversation kind of ended and you just want to say a quick thank you. So you can take a look on my screen here and see some examples of what I've built. Things you may wish to include would be, like I said, a general thank you. Hey, we'll let our technician know if they, call for any changes or something like that. And finally, if you receive a text message from a number that you do not recognize or is not in our system, we might want to include an automated message for, hey, who am I talking to? So we can make sure to get that number in the system for them. We'll see this feature coming back to us later, but it's definitely something you'll want to set up now. Alright, so now that we've added our template here, we need to make sure we have some people to send messages to. Now, the way you guys are going to handle that is you're going to go in to your search section here and you're going to look up one of the customers you'd like to message. So let me go ahead and bring up somebody. All right, so we found one of our customers here I'm going to schedule an installation for later today. I'll go ahead and click on her name. And there's a couple things you got to do to get this text message sent out to her. The first thing is you need to ask Jessica what phone number she would like to receive those messages on. You would then enter that phone number in this SMS message space directly under her main phone number on file. You will also want to check this opted in checkbox to the right here, and that's going to let Smart Service know this is a person who would like to receive text messages from us. The SMS field and the opted in field are left blank by default. Now, the reason we have these in a different space from the phone number and why we have the opted in checkbox is for a legal reason. That way you guys don't get in trouble for, just kind of spamming our customers with messages and stuff like that. So once you've entered in their SMS number and opted them into the program, another option you might want to take is for any existing jobs they have, remember we always have a copy data utility, which will let you take information from this record here and copy it to the rest of the jobs or whatever else we have under Jessica. So in the copy data tool, with this update, we've included the SMS number and SMS opted in checkbox for you. So you only have to add this number in once. Come in here, the copy data tool, grab these two functions, hit next, choose whichever jobs or customers you'd like to put things on, hit next, and then it'll let you know, hey, we're going to copy that field over to whatever service call we have open for her. We hit complete, and Smart Service does the work for us. So now that we've got everything prepared for Jessica here, when we schedule service calls later or when we're ready to batch out several of these messages for our jobs today, we'll head into our dashboard screen where we can get back to the office. And within our office section, we have two options. The first option that you want to use is going to be under the job preparation header. We're going to take a little trip down here to the message job reminders section. I'll go ahead and open that up. For those of you who have been using our email job reminders feature before, this is fairly similar to how that feature is going to work. So we'll come in here and we'll select a date range of what jobs would we like to send a message to. And we can even filter these down by the specific type of job. So if I was only looking for a certain kind of job, we could filter that. But I want to send a message to everybody I have on the schedule for today. So we can see we've got a couple jobs here going on. At the bottom, we've got a job for Jessica Flynn. If I'd like to send a message to her, I have two ways to do that from here. I could either click the message icon directly to the right of her name, which will send her just a message and not anybody else on the list. Or if I'd like to get all these people messaged at once, I'll come down here to the message all function, check that box. It'll let me know, hey, we're going to message everybody in the list. Is that okay? You'll click OK. And then when you're ready, you click this button again, it'll message everybody that you have on the list. Now that could be 3 contacts like we have here. That could be 100, so be careful of what you pull up in this list because it's going to try to send out messages to everyone in there. Once I press this button here, you can see now on the screen what Jessica will see on her phone, which is a personalized message according to that template we set up. So you can see it's got her name in it, it's got the scheduled date of the service, and the technician we're sending out to visit her. So let's say we want to check on our responses here from our customers. Maybe the customer said something back to us. What we'll do here is we'll go into the dashboard section, back to our office section, and right up here we see we have 4 messages that have come in. Everybody can see these messages. There are options to claim a certain message so you can tell who's responding to who. But we'll go in here to My Messages. And on the left-hand side, we have any messages that are new that have come in. You have a couple options for how you'd like to sort these things. First off, you can sort the messages by unread on top or by the time that they came in. You have the option of viewing all text. This would be where you'd go to see any text messages that have come in that no one has claimed yet. Or you can view the My Text section, which will be the text messages that you have responded to and claimed as something you're working on. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the messages we got here. So we've got over on this guy, we've got 2 messages that he's sent us. I can go ahead and click on that to see what those messages are, and we see they can display. We've got other options here. Let's say we have a customer that maybe hasn't been included in our database. It's somebody that was on the property that we didn't really know their number for. Those numbers will still show up in here. I just won't have a customer attached. So this way we can come in here and perhaps we'd like to ask, hey, who is this? Well, down here in the reply section, we can either type out a reply or right click and get our options for those quick messages. So this would be a great time to say, hey, I'm sorry, we don't have this number on file. Who are we speaking with? Get that sent out to the customer. And remember, these quick messages come from that quick messages section that was available back in our settings under the add-on section. So if you'd like to set up some of those as I've done here, you can see some of the examples, feel free to go back there and set up some of these messages to save you time. So in the case of other kinds of messages here, we can see we have a customer here that's ready to schedule their installation. Now, how I typically handle this is when you come into a new message that no one's taken yet, come up here to the top right-hand corner, we have a couple options, one of them being claimed. So I want to let everyone else in the office know that, hey, I'm going to be taking control of this message tree. So I hit that claim, and it's going to mark that as claimed with your username so that everyone else looking at this conversation knows that you're the one responsible for it. Then I could go ahead and reply below. And when you are working on replying to these messages, you kind of have two different options here. So I can go ahead and ask, a question to this customer by typing it in, or if there's something about this conversation I'd like to remember later but not send directly to the customer. We also have this whisper function. So whisper could be something like, maybe he wants to schedule a new window unit or something like that. And then when I hit this whisper function, what happens is it'll put a little note in there. So that doesn't get sent to your customer, but it stays on top of the conversation to remind you, anything special about this conversation, anything you want to remember in case you forget later, someone else comes into this message tree trying to respond. You guys can leave some general kind of private notes in this section. Now, once we've taken care of this message and the customer is satisfied, we've got everything we need taken care of, we could come up here and we can hit this resolved option, and resolved will mark the conversation as closed. That way we can see we've taken care of everything we needed, and it'll kind of file that away for you. So our last option here is going to be the transferred option. Let's say, I'm in the middle of a few things, or there's something else I need to take care of, and I can't respond to this customer right away. I have the option of coming in here and clicking the transfer option and choosing another user to take over this message chain for me. It'll put this message in that user's unread text messages. That way they're notified that, hey, they're going to be taking over this chain. Make sure when you do that to leave them a whisper, though, so they know, what context you want them to go into next, or if there's anything special they should keep in mind while responding to this customer. Just as a note for everybody as well here, the text messaging feature does accept text messages. It does not accept multimedia messages such as images that the customer may send you. If the customer does choose to or try to send an image to you, it will auto-reject that message and let the customer know that your number does not receive those images. So we won't just leave the customer hanging. We'll make sure to let them know that, hey, they can only use text for this function here. Another great feature that we have available for you here is within the customer records themselves, where you guys are probably familiar with this text messaging function up here. Not only can you text your employees as you could before, but now we have a new message the customer option. So we can come in here, and if you click that message the customer option, it's going to take you to that customer's chat and let you kind of correspond with that customer and see where you left off. So that is now an option that's available directly from the top of the customer. You can go ahead and send them a text message. To wrap up all the text messaging features for Smart Services capabilities, I would like to remind everyone that this number we're giving you is essentially like a cell phone number. It is something that you guys will be able to receive and send texts from. So there's something to keep in mind that anybody can text this number. And as we discussed before, if you receive a number that you're not familiar with or something like that, you might want to send them a message to say, hey, we're sorry we don't have this number on file. That way we can get that person added in and opted into the text messaging capability. If that person is in your database, however, and they do try to send you a message, it will show up with that person's name and number for you. So any customer that's already opted into the program, if they send you a message out of the blue next week or something, check up on, let's say, an old job, or they have another question or something like that, within this section, it will display as a new notification, and it will display an option for that customer's contact information. Another part of the texting ability is giving your technicians the ability to text from the field. This is going to be in the form of our customer notifications. Now, this is something, for those of you who aren't familiar, that comes from iFleet. When the technician says that they're on their way to do a service call, we can have it automatically send a text message to that customer to alert them to the technician being en route. We've moved this feature from iFleet. It used to be in the individual devices to Smart Service. That way we can kind of have a unified text message that goes out from all devices at once. You don't have to set it up on a per device basis anymore. But let's go ahead and hop into Smart Service and see where that fits in. So once again, we're going to go into our settings section here. And within the settings section, we're going to head over into iFleet. You'll notice a new option in here that says Enable Customer Notifications. If I go ahead and select that option here, that's going to enable those notifications for every device what you'll want to do immediately upon enabling this feature is head over into our pencil symbol here, and you'll want to create that customer notification. So I'm going to go ahead and build up something. So at this point here, you'll notice something different with our dropdown. We've kind of split up the information that you can insert into the notification template into a couple different categories. When I right click here, I have the option to look at company information. That is your information you might want to share with the customer. Our job information, things about the service call or the client we're visiting. Our job user definable fields, which are the fields that you guys create and add to the software. It can be anything you like. And our customer user definable fields, which once again are fields that you guys create and can add anything you like. If you need to set up the user definable fields, by the way, that is still in our settings section, but that's going to be under this header up here called user fields. So feel free to add those. Otherwise, you can use the standard fields that come with the program by default. So we'll go ahead and creating our notification here. We'll go ahead and add a first name. And you see it's going to assign the appropriate field for me, and then I can continue creating the notification as I see fit. So once we've created our customer notification here, we can go ahead and save this. Now, just to make sure everyone understands here, this feature is going to be uniform across all devices. So when you go to send out this message, every technician will be sending that same message, albeit filled out with customers' information automatically because of those fields we used. So let's go ahead and hop over to iFleet and see how this plays out in the real world. All right, so once we've entered iFleet and we've synced up our device, we'll go ahead and head into our next service call here for Jessica. And to send her that notification, what I want to do is head up to our current status appointment time there at the top right-hand corner. I'll go ahead and apply our new status of start traveling to job. At this point, iFleet automatically sends a text message in the background to Jessica to let her know we're on the way. And once again, as you can see on the screen there, we're displaying that text message that Jessica is receiving from iFleet. So whenever you guys say that you're on your way to the job, she's going to receive that custom notification that you've created for all of your technicians. Technicians don't want to hit any extra buttons. We don't want to add any extra steps to their day, but we want to make sure that communication with the customer stays open and clear. So another big update coming to version 102 is going to be a brand new batch invoicing screen. For those of you who are doing lawn care services or services where you're going to be visiting them on a set schedule but billing them on another schedule, you're probably going to take a look at this batch invoicing screen and all the features we have in it now. So if I take a look in Smart Service here, the batch invoicing screen, as usual, is always found on the Office section under our Review and Post. So a lot of you may be going day by day to look at the post work order screen, review the things that have been done today, but then you're going to go over to the batch invoices screen at the end of that month or the end of whatever billing term you guys have decided on. So it used to be you go into post work orders, you send it over, it goes to batch, and then whenever you guys get around to it, you go into batch. Well, not anymore. We've added a couple new features into this screen here to help you guys out when you're trying to navigate all the things that you guys have open in the batch posting screen. So the first big feature that you'll notice here is up at the top. We've got a filter option section. That filter option is going to let you filter down the jobs within the batch screen by things like, let's say, the type of service that you're providing. You could also filter by the recurrence pattern on the job. So if you're looking for all of your weekly mowing services or something like that, you could bring those up in the screen. Kind of help us filter down and narrow what we're looking for, like so. You have the last job date. Now, last job date, if you didn't know, is going to refer to the last date set in the batch so far. So as you've been going throughout post work orders and you've been sending over, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, the last job date is going to refer to that last date in week 4. You also have an option, maybe none of these filters really are working for you, or you can't find what you're looking for. Well, you have the option to search for that customer or that job's name by typing something in the box here. If you use this function or any of these functions, you can hit the refresh button, which will refresh the screen and display your selected results. To the right of that, we have some familiar features in here. Things such as the QuickBooks invoicing options, if you want to mark your invoices pending. If you have preference to be set as to be emailed to the customer, to be printed, you can select that from here. We also have an option for the invoice date. Now this invoice date here, whatever you guys have in this box, is what all of our batch invoices are going to come over as in QuickBooks. So even though, let's say our top one here ends on February 22nd, if I post it over now from this screen, it's going to post over with March 6th. So you can select your date for what you'd like it to be. Continuing down the screen here, we've got a lot more information about what's in this batch job. So you've got the job name. If you click on the job name, it will now open up to show you any history records that are set within that batch. So this lets you guys adjust the finer details of what is controlled by the batch, what is contained within the batch, and that way you can remove issue services if there's something that's just not working out. Maybe we posted something twice and we want to make sure it's not included. Well, not only can you see each individual service, which if you're batching by customer, you'll have multiple different jobs in here. This one in particular is batched by job, so we see all the same job in here. But you can click on the name of the job to open up the history record. So that'll show you all the information that was done on that data service. You also have the option of hitting the plus symbol next to each job name, which will open up and show you the items on that service. Now, we put this feature in here for a good reason. Those of you who have been doing batching for a while know that if you go to QuickBooks and you, let's say, delete a job item or something like that, or you otherwise inactivate it, and it's no longer available in Smart Service, what's going to happen when you try to batch it over to QuickBooks is QuickBooks is going to say, hey, I don't have that item anymore. It's not going to let you send over that batch. It's going to create an error. Well, by showing you the job items that are available in that job, instead of restarting the whole batch, now you can go into the screen. You could open up that job record once you find the offending item, of course. And you can click the Batch Invoice Created in QuickBooks option down here. That will then basically skip that record from the batch, so you can post over the other 3 dates that we have in there, and then fix whatever remaining items we needed to add. But this way, instead of starting all over, you can just get rid of the item that's causing the issue. Some other available things in here would be the type of service it is. So if you have multiple types of service going on, you can see which one it is. You have the date that the work was completed, so that is when your technician in iFleet hit the complete button on the job. And of course, you have the total that's due for that particular day. So that's an option all by clicking on the job name there. Continuing on to the right, you can see, of course, the job type, so what kind of service was this that we provided. We have a recurrence pattern, which we have filtered down for this example to weekly. We have the first job, that is the oldest date contained within the batch. So that is the oldest date we have yet to invoice for. And of course, our last job, which is the most recent date in the batch. You have the total amount due. That is the amount represented by all the history records stored within this batch. So we come to a grand total right here. And of course, we have our post button, which would create that batch invoice in QuickBooks and let us send it over to QuickBooks. However, I've got one thing that's exciting for everybody. I know this is something a lot of people have been asking for over the years, and we got to put it in the software this time here. That is going to be the Post All button at the bottom of the screen. Now, I will preface this with saying, this is a very dangerous feature sometimes if you're not careful. Make sure you review all your jobs in here before you hit this button, because once we initiate the Post All process, there's not going to be a way to stop it. So we come in here, we review our jobs, filter down to the ones we want to see, and then what we can do is click this Post All button. Now, at that point, you basically arm the button. So it gives you a little message that says, hey, make sure you reviewed everything. Consider making a backup of the system. And we hit OK to acknowledge that. And what it does for me is it will uncheck all of the jobs on the screen. That way, if I slip or something like that and hit this Post All button, it doesn't post anything. Now, what you can do is go up to the top left-hand corner of the screen here. Next to each job, you have a check mark. So you could check the box next to whichever jobs you guys would like to send over to QuickBooks. Or, even better, you can hit this check mark right here, and that will check all of the jobs in the list. So I could check all of these items, and then I could click the Post button down here at the bottom right of the screen to send that over to QuickBooks. But this way, we've ensured that you guys are safe and trying to post over all of these things at once. I don't want you to, ruin an entire month's worth of jobs that you have, but we've given you a convenient way to post over all those jobs at once. That way, you don't have to hit the Post button next to each individual one to get them sent over to QuickBooks. All right, and that'll wrap things up for the latest version, 102 of Smart Service. If you guys would like to know more information about the latest product releases we're coming out with, you can visit us at smartservice.com/updates for more information. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.